News dump. Mac, a right has been wronged. Billy
Ooh.
Mitchell's records at Twin Galaxy in New Hampshire have been reinstated.
Horse shit. Horse shit. Fuck Billy Mitchell.
And I quote, don't rewrite history.
Uh, first of all, I have to confess, I didn't know that he had records there to be removed. Obviously, Donkey Kong, whatever. Why did they get removed?
They thought he cheated or something.
They probably did.
I haven't seen that documentary in a while. If I can recommend one thing, watch that documentary.
Such
And
a
I
good
can't even think
documentary.
of what it's called.
King of Kong.
King of Kong. Thank you. That might be a top. It's definitely top 10 for me, but like top 5 of really being engaged with a topic that really isn't that interesting.
I was gonna say
Yes.
it's. I think now this might be a stretch because I'm sure there's some out there that we haven't seen. To me, it's the best niche documentary of all time. It took a topic that not many people would be interested in and got them to start rooting for and against characters in it. And it's also something that's like very relatable because the Billy Mitchell character, whether it's video games, an office setting, or whatever, there you always hate that guy and you're rooting. I think the other guy's name is Chris something. You root for that guy, but I had never even heard of it until hashtag Dorkpodcast was getting ready to talk about it maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever they talked about it, reviewed it. And I'm so happy that that came into my life because Billy Mitchell is an all-time villain, great character. And it's at the point where I cannot, he's so good at what he does as that Billy Mitchell character. I don't know if it's him or if it's an actual character. Like, I don't know if he's playing it up or if he's truly that full of himself 24/7.
So all of his records have been reinstated in the video game world. I am relieved and satisfied to reach this resolution after an almost 6-year ordeal, and I look forward to pursuing my unfinished business elsewhere. Never surrender, Billy Mitchell.
You know who's worse than Billy Mitchell though is his little fucking sidekick there, Brian Koo. That fucking piece of shit. That guy didn't even play the game, and he's sitting there running around Fun Spot. Donkey Kong kill screen coming up. Fuck that guy. Hate that guy. At least Billy Mitchell's playing the game.
I would say that if I was one of the two, I'd be Koo.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Billy Mitchell is Patrick Mahomes. Brian Koo is Jackson Mahomes. That's the fucking perfect analogy right there.
Topical reference. Way to go, man. We did it. News up. Oh, baby. Lorne Michaels has possibly made a little hint as to who could be taking over SNL once he leaves, saying that Tina Fey is someone that could do so.
Goo, you whatever the opposite of aptly is, titled this topic Lorne Everlasting, which would insinuate that Lorne would never leave SNL. I don't
He's
know.
been there for almost 50
I don't
years.
know
So
why that would be the name of the topic when we're talking about a potential
take out
successor.
roughly, I think, 3 to 4 years in the early 80s. He's been there for almost 50 years.
By the way, if you want to talk nice reads that are like under 150 pages,
Tuck Everlasting?
Tuck Everlasting is great.
That's what came into my mind. That's why that.
Tuck Everlasting, and what's the one where what's the name of the book that Lenny snaps the rabbit's necks in?
Oh, that is
Mice
of
and
Mice
Men.
and Men.
Another
Yeah.
great one, under
Yeah.
150 pages. We actually talked about Tina Fey a couple times these last couple weeks, talking about Mean Girls. I think she's one of the greatest comedic writers, sketch comedy wise, to ever live. And she seems like a natural successor. She's much funnier than Lorne is. I think Lorne is just good at
Lorne is kind of like DJ Khaled.
A bit, yeah. Yeah, Lorne is more of a producer than a writer, and that's really what he's been his whole career.
Yeah, I like an executive producer.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Gathering talent and putting people in positions.
And you could say, he doesn't always hit, but he does find some pretty good names.
Yep, that's for sure. So
yeah.
If Lorne does leave, I think that would be a cool spot for Tina Fey.
Would her first hire be Rachel Dratch going back on the show?
You got to bring Dratch back. You got to bring Polar back. You got to bring Bubble Bath. What's her name?
Maya Rudolph.
So
you think that she just brings all the ladies of the late 90s back? Anna Gasteyer's coming back.
Anna Gasteyer is underrated because Molly Shannon's not underrated, but Anna Gasteyer is because those other four were so good, and she was behind Shannon then, and then it fell behind those four after. There's just like they're really trying to push it female forward now, like,
Mhm.
without the talent. They had so much great female lead talent in the early 2000s. It's kinda crazy to think
Well,
about.
I mean, think about that cast where it was like Will Ferrell, and then the next tier down, like, this is not my favorite cast.
Yeah.
Obviously, Will Ferrell's great, but and then that next tier down was, I think Molly Shannon had just left, or she was there for a lot of Ferrell stuff, but then, like,
She was
Poehler's
there
there, yeah,
as Farrell was
right,
becoming
but
a
I'm
star.
saying, like, as Maya Rudolph, Amy Poehler, Anna Gasteyer, as they were all at their peak, that's when Ferrell was on his way out.
Yeah, I would say when Will Ferrell was the star, if you listed the top 8 cast members, probably 6 would be female, and
Yeah.
then it'd be Ferrell and then maybe Chris Parnell. Like,
Oh, I loved Chris
it
Parnell, and
yeah,
Chris
he's
Parnell
great.
got fired one
He's
time,
great.
and Will Ferrell made them hire him back.
Yeah. But, like, that's how heavy the female
Yeah.
influence was then, but Will Ferrell was so good that it just felt male-oriented when in fact it was female heavy.
It's also funny, I'm glad that we're just talking SNL. Early aughts SNL when everyone loved the show. But, it was when Ferrell left and they tried to, like, make Fallon the star, Jimmy Fallon the star,
Yeah.
and he wasn't.
No, he
Luckily,
never
they had
could
the
be.
other people to fall back on. They had the female cast to fall back on.
Yeah, and then the female cast transitioned out as you got the more new school guys like Sudeikis and Hader. It really worked out. They had
Well,
a
but Kristen
great run.
Wiig was at the tail end of,
Oh,
like, the
that's
Amy
right.
Poehler one.
That's right. Yep, Wig was the transition. Yeah, you're right. And,
Yeah.
they really
And
got
Wiig,
lucky.
I would argue Wiig is the best of the bunch out of all the
I
female
think
cast members.
as a character actress,
Mhm.
it's probably like her, Farrell, and Mike Myers is the top 3.
Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Phil
As a
Hartman.
character for Eddie Murphy, though, Eddie Murphy just
Eddie
plays Eddie
Murphy had
Murphy.
so many characters. He
I
was
I'm
so good. Eddie Murphy, for a year or two, he was the
No,
only
you're
person doing
100% right.
sketches.
I was thinking more, like, post SNL character stuff. That's what
I thought you meant
I
I thought you
didn't
meant on the
clarify that.
oh, I
No,
mean,
no, I
even
didn't
the
clarify that.
but also the decade after Eddie Murphy was on SNL, he was the biggest star in the world.
Yeah, but he just played Eddie Murphy. He wasn't playing characters.
He played different Eddie Murphys. Everyone only plays themselves. Let's toss that out there. Everyone's only playing themselves. Everyone is just a system quarterback.
Well, he did give us Norbert, so I'll give him
Norbert's
credit for that.
great. You know what's great is Stephen A. Smith references his female character from Norbit a ton. Is her name like Repulsa?
I do not recall.
Repulsa?
That's not gonna be a
Stephen A.
poll I'm
Smith does
ever
it
gonna
so
have.
much, and it makes me laugh every single time. I'm like, he's referencing Norbit. That's hilarious.
That's funny, like, we shit on SNL now, not all the time, but it hasn't been good in a while,
No.
but it was really good for close to 20 years.
I would say I think next season is the 50th season. You could argue that if you cobble together really good scenes, probably half the time, it's probably would you say it's on par percentage-wise with The Simpsons?
No, it's got a higher hit rate than The Simpsons because you have to think once you get to the early 90s, all the way through Farrell stuff, all the way through Faye and Polar, then there's a small dip, but then you get Hader and Sudeikis. So it's more like 25 in a 25-year window. They probably had 20 to 22 really good
Well,
seasons.
but also at the tail end of the Sandler years, those were not good seasons. Like the
No, you're
94,
right. Yeah,
95,
but
96.
that's it was just like 1 or 2, and then that's really where Farrell came in too. So there wasn't too much of a lag time. The lag time really was after Eddie Murphy up until the Sandler crew.
Up until Dana Carvey got there.
Yeah, right. Who was there? What in '89?
You know what stinks is that we wasted an episode so early on an SNL cast member draft.
Yeah,
I'd like to do it again, but we
we could
can't.
100%.
No, we can't.
Movies are getting remade that are fucking 5 years old. Why can't we do that?
I know we did this episode 4, but we have 2 new guests on, and we're gonna do this again.
Your sister did a great job.
No, she was good, and she actually took Bill Hader in the first round, which at
Yeah,
the time we're like, that seems a little high, but in retrospect, top 4 isn't that far off.
I think it's still a reach, but you got to get your guy. So I
I
don't
think he's
blame it.
top 10, so
Yeah, top 2
that's
rounds
not
roughly.
that far off. Also, I think next season is season 50, so Michaels would leave after season 50.
That'll be interesting. So 75 was the first year then?
Yeah, and then I believe that Michaels keeps Keenan Thompson around because he wants him to be there for the 50th season because he's someone that if a sketch is really bad, they're like, "Keenan, make a face."
Yeah, so I don't love Keenan And I don't think he's a
Speaking of being
good
on SNL for 25
I don't
years.
think he's a good writer either. It would actually make more sense for Keenan to play a Lorne-like role and Faye to just come in and be the head writer, head everything,
No, I think
really.
he's just gonna leave the show in general. I think they just have him there right now because they need somewhat of a name in the cast or somewhat of a, a
You know what I
personality.
think
Yeah.
Keenan's next phase is becoming a Steve Harvey type game show host. I think, like,
Don't you
that's where he's
dare.
gonna go.
Don't you dare do that to
Because he's
Keenan.
not gonna be in movies. He can't do that. He'll probably try a
Have you seen
show,
Good Burger
another
2?
show. He'll try another show. It
His
won't
show
work.
wasn't good, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He'll try
But they also
another
had
one.
Chris Redd in there, and then all the off-air stuff of what happened, like, he took his wife or something?
Yeah,
You saw that, right?
he is in a weird position because he clearly has been, like, one of the stronger points of SNL over the last 15 years, but he's not I don't think he can do anything else.
Also, in his show, they had Chris Redd playing pretty much a Kel Mitchell character. Just get Kel Mitchell.
Kel's not doing anything.
Like, Kel's around. Kel
Yeah,
will do it with you.
we'll gladly do it.
Newsed up. That was a good way to kill 10 minutes off the jump. So I saw this. I believe that Culture Club on X had this, and Variety also talked about it a bit. But they're discussing when the OG versions of the DC characters hit public domain. We've already talked about this a smidge in some of our other episodes, but Superman, they say 2034. I thought it was 33, but either way, give or take a year. Batman 35, the Joker 36, and Wonder Woman 37. And Variety makes the point that hundreds of unauthenticated comics are just going to flood the scene as soon as these are available. You'll probably get a couple really bad movies as well. But if you do something with Batman, that doesn't mean you get Robin. If you do something with Superman, that doesn't mean you get Kryptonite. Also, the OG Superman, he can't fly. He can jump. I'm telling a jump story, Mac.
Like a
Also,
Hulk jump.
logos and nicknames off limits because those have been trademarked over time. So those don't just default when these characters do. Also, my favorite part of this is what really jumped out to me and why I had to put it on here, is that Zack Snyder could reshoot and make a new iteration of the Justice League, but he'll have to be careful because he definitely can't use the word or words, the term Justice League.
I'm just picturing heroes in street clothes or like spandex with no logos because they don't have the rights to anything.
Right? And like you can't even just put a bat on his chest because
Yeah.
then they'll be like, no, that's close enough.
Right.
Unless
Yeah,
I could see, oh, what if at the end of Snyder's Batman, he takes a real bat and just staples it to his chest?
well, that's why I think, and when we did talk about this previously with Superman too, I think it's quite a bit overblown that the levee's gonna break here, the dam's gonna break, because there's so many hoops you gotta jump through that ultimately it's gonna take forever to make something and cost a shit ton of money. So I don't think it's gonna be worth it for a lot of people. We will get some parodies, but I also think in 10 years when all this stuff becomes viable, we're probably people talk about it now, superhero fatigue, comic book movie
Oh yeah,
fatigue.
no, it's gonna be
By then, it'll be dead.
probably besides Batman, which can just live forever.
There'll
Everything
be
else
ebbs and
probably will.
flows. Like
Yeah.
20 years from now, this
Yeah.
stuff will be viable again. But in 10 years, I think it'll be mostly dead.
But also, these are good notes for us because I did start our Superman script. And actually, not being able to fly, I think is going to make it a lot easier for us.
I think we have to change Superman and put him into like an Eastern European country
Okay.
or something with like a Borat-like accent.
And we can also, kind of like in Indiana Jones 5, how they made it seem like Indiana Jones was running fast. We'll just, as soon as Superman like crouches down to jump, we'll just cut the camera away. We're like, wow, see how high that motherfucker
A little
jumped?
blue streak just went by.
Yeah. Just pew. I mean, we'll make that noise.
Yeah.
Do you
There you
think
go.
DC has the rights to that noise?
Can you trademark noises?
Pew pew.
Like, at what point does a noise become music? It's a great question.
I don't know. I only have these notes here. That's all I got. So I can't go off script.
Yeah, Chuffeel.
News down. Speaking of Superman, Jesse Eisenberg was talking to Variety, and when asked what advice he had for people in the future who are playing Lex Luthor, let's say Nicholas Hoult, who is doing that right now, Eisenberg said, Don't watch me.
It's a great response.
Yeah.
You got to give the, I mean, I would say 75% of the people that watched what Jesse Eisenberg did as Lex Luthor hated it. I'm part of the 25% that didn't mind it at all.
That's because you like being fed Jolly Ranchers.
Um,
You're like, that's a
but
standout.
credit to Jesse Eisenberg though. He not once came out and defended what he did. He just left it out there. He didn't pull Ryan Johnson or Zack Snyder and fucking started pulling books out of his shelf and be like, no, but look at this.
No, but
He
what
was
it
just like,
reminds
he
me,
was just like, oh, people didn't like it. What are you gonna
what
do?
it reminds me of though is, so Tommy Lee Jones was playing Two-Face in Batman Forever, but what he pretty much did was saw what Jack Nicholson did as the Joker. Is like, I'm just gonna laugh the whole movie, and it kind of felt like Eisenberg saw Heath Ledger's Joker and he's like, well, maybe that's what Lex Luthor will do.
Uh, yeah, I don't like. I didn't get Joker vibes from him. I like
I
again.
got him trying to do Joker vibes.
I don't agree with you, but again, you hated it and I didn't mind it, so we're just seeing it differently. But again, I really think Jesse Eisenberg deserves credit for not defending it. Like, you know what I mean? He just let it sit out there, and that's a lot of folks would have doubled down, and he didn't. So credit to Jesse Eisenberg.
News down. Oh, baby. It looks like the new Superman Legacy. I'm using the wrong mouse. There we go. It looks like it might be funny. Rachel Brosnahan says that she thinks that Superman will have a sense of humor.
You know, I don't know how this is going to work, but if anyone could make Superman have a sense of humor, James Gunn can.
Mm-hmm.
But this doesn't sound great because he's
No,
an alien. So
okay,
he really
but
shouldn't get human humor. So how do you
did
make an
you
alien
watch
funny?
when I think I sent you this? It was James Gunn giving his top 5 comic book movies. And it's him talking about Superman 78 and his love for the Boy Scout Superman. I think that you could have some humor there.
So you think the humor will come from campiness?
Yes, and he'll lean into that.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Or lean into the do-goodedness.
it'll be
if you will.
interesting to see fan reception to that because obviously most people love the original Superman movie with Christopher Reeves. I just don't know if it fits today.
I think that's the reason why you would do it. Just like when the Brady Bunch had their movie in 95.
They
What
were much more than a bunch.
He says that giant poster on the wall, and every day Gunn just points to. He's like, guys, this is what we're going for. Brady Bunch 95. Not the sequel. Not a very Brady sequel.
One day this old lady met this old fellow met this. How does it go? They knew
his family, and they knew as much more than a hunch.
Yeah,
Then this
there it is,
group
hunch.
somehow formed a family, and that's how they became the Brady
The
Bunch.
Brady Bunch.
Right?
The Brady Bunch.
Oh, no, we know this part. The beginning, though. That's where
Yeah.
we're having an issue.
One day this old lady met this fellow.
Oh, it wasn't this old lady.
They knew. How does it go? Why can't I pull it? Jesus.
Break me up a piece of that fancy piece. Dude, done. Looks like Daredevil is heading back to work for the first time since the hiatus that began before or since the writer's strike. That was a long time ago. Daredevil Born Again is resuming production this week.
Listen, I'll let the Daredevil folks be and get excited as much as they want. You can't tell me if you've watched Echo that you're going to be looking forward to this.
You know what's good is that they had a chance to see the reception to Echo, to see Echo, and say, maybe we don't do this again.
Echo sucked.
Echo wasn't good. Yeah, Echo wasn't good. So that's the thing, is that I think by them taking all this time off, hiring new directors, hiring new writers, not liking the way that the other show is going, and not just dropping this show directly after Echo and they can't change things up, they're able to kind of change.
I really wonder how much they ended up cutting out of Echo to end up with only 5 episodes and to not flush out any of the side characters. Like, it's obviously heavy on Echo and her origin, or, you know, sort of becoming Echo and, you know, with the Native American background stuff, but they just throw side characters out there and expect you to like them, and they don't give them any background. And
her cousin has a monster truck. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, and then her other cousin is like a firefighter paramedic, and they're like, "Oh, people are gonna like her."
Mac did a Leo point to the screen. Oh, actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. That was my favorite scene that maybe I've ever seen. Is Echo is watching from like a very, very far distance, and she looks over at her cousin
Oh,
who was playing
yeah,
basketball
shooting hoops in her
where
gear.
it seemed like there were no teams. Like someone passed her the ball,
Yeah,
she scored, and then they're all like,
they're
"Yay!" And they all
playing
gave high fives, and then they all went back to work.
they're playing taps, and she was wearing bunker gear
Yeah.
playing, and then nothing happens. They just make one basket. It clears out, and all of a sudden, she turns over her shoulder as if she noticed someone watching her from fucking 300 yards away. That scene was terrible.
Shoot hoops, shoot hoops.
See, maybe we need to rewatch and review this and just completely pick it apart.
I don't know if I ever want to talk about this.
It's so stupid. And I'm not even like mad about it, even though I say it
Oh
sucks.
yeah, no, I'm
I'm
just
not
like,
even
well,
mad about it. I
I
didn't
mean, I'm
expect it to be good.
I'm annoyed by the Fisk stuff, but that's from two different shows. But this is also Elseworld. Maybe it
Yeah,
doesn't even count.
yeah, and like also, um, like I understand that the end of Secret, what is it? Secret Invasion wasn't
Yeah,
good. But that show gave us so much more. Like that show, say
that
what
wasn't
you
good
want
either.
about Echo, that show was way fucking better than Echo. The ending sucked.
I think it's a toss up if you want to ask
Oh,
me.
that show is way better than Echo.
So I'm not going to judge Fisk until we get Daredevil. Once
Sure.
we get Daredevil, and if Fisk stinks again, then we can say this ain't great. And
Yeah,
IGN can stop tweeting out their story over and over again about how Fisk should be the new big bad.
yeah, it's a terrible idea. Yeah, I don't like, obviously you could still say Fisk because he's Fisk and he can mean a lot in that underworld. It's just, I don't know. It for a show like Daredevil to have as much go wrong as it has over the last couple years, and then the last like two shows be arguably the two worst in a lot of people's minds, you can't have a lot of faith that Daredevil is going to be good.
News down. Season 2 of She-Hulk is unlikely. Tatiana Maslany said that she doesn't believe this is going to happen. I think we blew our budget, and Disney was like, no thanks. Season 1 reportedly cost $225 million.
I liked She-Hulk. You liked She-Hulk. We liked it more than most people.
But did I like it $225 million worth?
Here's the question I have to ask. How much money would you have had to spend to make the CGI look good in that show? Because that was the major problem.
And also, we're not blaming
We're
the
talking
people
4
that work on the
million for She-Hulk?
CGI. I'm blaming the rushed product of it all.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
I enjoyed 84% of that show. The ending was bizarre and the CGI sucked. I wonder where's the line? Is it 400 million? Is that when the CGI becomes good? That's crazy that it costs that much. It does
I
make sense
wonder.
because it's CGI in almost every scene, but holy shit.
Wonder.
Yeah, and then you look like a show, and I'm gonna start watching that this week because everyone fucking loves it. Ted, a CGI
Yeah.
bear is in every scene. How much did that show cost? Couldn't have been 225 million.
I'll tell you what on Ted. I fell asleep during the first episode. I didn't love it. I picked up on the second episode. I was laughing. I'm like, this is actually pretty good. And then I look down and I say to myself, wait a minute. These episodes are 40 minutes long? This isn't right.
And it's only 7 episodes, right? It's a weird number of
Go
episodes.
with a hard 22. That was the issue with season 4 of Arrested Development, is they had 35-minute episodes. Go with what got you here. 22-minute episodes.
No. The issue with season 4 of Arrested Development is
There's a lot more wrong
no
with
one
it.
cared anymore.
No, there was a lot more wrong with it. But the 31 to 35-minute episodes, that was an issue.
Yeah, I guess because the quality was worse. If the quality was better, it wouldn't have been an issue.
Also, so with Ted, put a laugh track on it, make it feel like it's from the 90s, change like the camera lens to have it, have that early 90s feel to it too. Do all that stuff.
I don't know.
Why
That
not?
would just make you like it more.
Yeah. Isn't that the point of everything, to appeal to goo?
I guess so.
News down. Invincible Season 2 Part 2 is going to drop at the beginning of next week. or begins next week.
I got faith they're gonna land the airplane here
Yeah.
and make season 2 worth it. However, so far it hasn't been worth a watch. So if you haven't watched it yet, I would continue to wait until the whole season's over. It's been a little bit of a bumpy ride, as cool as some of these characters are.
Also, Stephen Yoon said in an interview, probably during one of his many awards, because he's picking up all those awards, that if there was an Invincible movie, he'd like to be in it, but not as Mark. He's 40.
Yeah, that'd be tough sell. I don't know who the fuck he would play though.
Would he play Omni-Man?
No, he's not
No.
nearly large enough to play
No, he would
Omni-Man.
not. You'd have to get like a large hulking gentleman. You
Yeah.
know who could have played it a couple years ago?
Who?
J.K. Simmons when he was ripped. I don't know if he still is. I haven't
We
seen a
should just
photo
get
of him
Henry
recently.
Cavill to play Omni-Man.
I'd be completely fine with that.
Be awesome.
That would almost be like that might be
And he can get his Mission Impossible mustache back.
like you could say, because you know how we have like, oh, Hayden Christensen's getting his chance to get his flowers for the role that he played 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The Omni-Man could be him getting his flowers for Superman.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Look at
Yeah,
that.
why not?
We just stumbled into that.
News up. Got a trailer for the final. Oh, this is the final trailer for the final season of Bad Batch. The Bad Batch. I know that you really like this show.
So my least favorite part about season 7 of the Clone Wars, which is a phenomenal season of television, is how heavy it is on the Bad Batch stuff, because they just backdoor pilot it for now 3 seasons of the show. I don't really care about them. I don't really care about their missions. I haven't watched a single episode of the first 2 seasons. I do have Star Wars friends that do very much enjoy this show, but this, and you know me, it's like black and white for me. I know right away whether a Star Wars thing is going to be for me or not, and this is not for me.
Oh, I actually didn't know what this was. I was going to ask you if this was a baking show. Like a Bad Batch of muffins.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
News up. Also got our first look at Tron 3? Tren? What is this?
A really bizarre photo to show to tease
Look,
a movie
I
that
am
no
all
one asked for.
I love when titles use numbers as a replacement for letters in the title. I don't know what this means. It's TR3N. Tron is the property. That's an
Right.
O.
Right.
3 usually represents an E. I don't know what's happening right now.
I would argue the 3 in the word Tron, TRON, the 3 makes more sense as the R over the O. I don't know why they chose the O. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what?
The 3 looks more like an R than it does an O.
Well, no, so what I would say, hold up. So is the title of the movie Tron Heiress?
I don't know. That was in one of the fucking
Okay,
tweets.
so if it is, though, put the 3 in the E right there. Or
Sure.
call it Tron Evolutions or some bullshit like that. And
Where did this movie come from? Why are they making it?
I think people like Tron.
Did the second one do that well to initiate a third one?
Or what you can do is like Jared Leto stars in Tron, and you replace all the E's in his name with 3s.
Jeff
Bridges, replace those with 3s.
Did he die in the second one? Is that why he's not on board here? He's not doing much.
Jeff Bridges might have died in the second one, but he also might be in this one, and replace every E in that sentence with a 3.
And to be honest with you, this was a bit like Blade Runner for me. I had never seen, so Blade Runner didn't care for. Blade Runner 2049, one of my favorite movies of all time. Original Tron movie I never even saw, so could care less about.
Okay.
The sequel I actually enjoyed. I thought it was a good movie.
They can replace the R with a 4 in the next one.
Sure.
News up. Looks like a Sonicverse is a spreading. We will get a spin-off movie on Shadow. This is reported by Daniel RPK. It's being developed for Paramount. Is this for the streaming service or for the theaters? I would assume theaters, because these Sonic movies, mucho dinale.
Buku bucks. And then there's also a rumor that Knuckles is going to get a Paramount Plus series. So they're really, really parlaying the Sonic stuff into it.
They should. I mean, kids love Sonic.
You're right. You're right. But do kids love Knuckles?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I guess not.
Says my kid loves brass knuckles.
Your leg is really bruised from your child's brass knuckles.
News now. Got a trailer for This Is Me. Now? It's a love story.
Love story.
Yeah.
This is a musical starring Jennifer Lawrence, Ben Affleck, Fat
Jennifer
Joe.
Lopez.
Oh yeah, right. I got Lawrence on the mind. Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck.
You thinking
Fat
about Lawrence
Joe,
Fishburne?
Post Malone, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and more. What a tease that is, and more. This looks pretty terrible. Not gonna lie, and I think that's why it's going straight to Prime Video.
Do you think you owe me an apology when I said that the new MCU is musicals because that's all we're getting now?
No, we're just noticing musicals more. There's a. Do you think Jennifer Lopez can sing? Like actually sing?
Yeah, she's a good singer.
Okay.
I think she's a better dancer than singer. She's a better entertainer, better performer.
Just so
than
you're
singer.
aware, some of her early smash hits are not her vocals, but she gets credited for them.
My
Ashanti
world is
on 2
shattered.
tracks in particular.
Why would you tell me that?
It seems like her and Britney are cut from the same cloth, right? Sexy, can dance, but can't really sing.
I'd have to really listen to them. I've never heard J-Lo do like a stripped down version of it. That might be the reason why. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Also, this cast, if they don't do White Iverson, I'm gonna fucking flip out. News dump.
Sure.
And then finally, is this a fever dream? I saw during one of the football games yesterday that there's a Bad News Bears like movie that's coming to Amazon Prime that stars Snoop Dogg. And then as the commercial was getting to the end, it said rated R. Is Snoop Dogg starring in a rated R Little League Pop Warner football movie? I didn't look it up. I need you to tell me.
I can confirm that and also let you know that we have a screening invite for this tomorrow night if you want to go see it.
I might respond.
I'm not going to go, but the open invite is there.
And then I don't know if he was talking about this movie or not, but he got into OnlyFan discussion with someone recently and said,
this was on X this week. I saw this.
Yeah, but he said that someone told him that he could have made $100 million if he pulled that thing out, which I'm going to go ahead and just put my hands in the air and say, I don't know if that's true.
It might be.
But he said, and I quote, "I've got a black wife, and there ain't no way in the world she's going to allow me to go on there."
I like that he has to specify his wife is black, and that's why.
Hey, man, I'll tell you right now, if he had a white wife, she would have pushed him on there.
I'm not even ashamed to say it. If there was a Snoop Dogg sex video, I would watch it.
Would you pay money for it though?
I wouldn't. No, I would. I would need a pirated version.
Obviously, look. If there's a photo of Snoop's hog somewhere,
I gotta see it.
Yeah, I'll give it a quick googs, but I'm not gonna go behind a paywall.
100%.
I don't know anyone that would go behind a paywall to look at Snoop's hog.
There's a lot of fucking weird people out there. I don't know.
Like even out of curiosity, I'd be more curious about like Flavor Flav's hog.
Yeah, I'm also very curious about that hog. I agree. Maybe that's.
Would you pay to see Flavor Flav's hog?
I may, because Flavor Flav is so fucked up, and he's done so many fucked up things. I'm pretty intrigued by what that might look like.
Okay, so number one, everyone go on Twitter. Everyone go on X right now. Tweet us a name that you would pay to see their hog.
Top hog.
Mac, can you give me a Mount Rushmore by the time we have an episode by the end of the week?
I was gonna say we could do a top 10 of hogs you may pay to see.
Like, not just curious about looking at.
Jason
but
Momoa. There's one.
I might pay to see that one.
There's one. Yep.
Yeah. That is a good one.
I'd also like to see.
You know what? Maybe The Rock, because I was
just gonna say it.
I think it's itty bitty.
I bet it's small. 100%.
I think it's dinky nuts.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. No doubt about it.
We have two. If you have two more to throw at me, then go right ahead. Obviously, Tom Brady.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a whole other thing I didn't even really consider. I would love to see what the king of the world is packing. Yeah, I'd like to see like Chuck Norris's.
Oh, he's old though.
It'd be a real interesting view.
Yeah, real saggy nuts.
Give a little peek behind the curtain here.
You've seen Chuck Norris's?
A little peek behind Chuck's curtain. Doing what I do for a living, I see an awful lot of naked old people. Seen a lot of stuff.
You
that
work in
most
a
people
gym bathroom?
Oh, those are the worst. Why? There's gonna be a study one day. Why old people are so comfortable getting naked in public.
And also drying themselves off with fans. Like putting their legs on a bench and drying off their
And the
bush
towel's
with a
never big
fan.
enough. It's never big enough.
This could be our worst news dump.
Hog dump.
All right, that'll do it for this. We've gone 45 minutes. Too much, Mac.
Yeah, I agree. This was too much.
Check us out at the end of the week. We have a couple coals in the oven. It's not a saying, but we'll do something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We always
News
do.
dump.